Welcome everyone to India's largest learning platform, Unacademy. You can subscribe to Unacademy and become a part of Unacademy family. There are various benefits of Unacademy subscription. For example, attending daily live classes. You can attend daily live classes. Classes are highly engaging. You can ask your doubts, answer polls are conducted. You can also evaluate your performance through live tests and quizzes. The courses of Unacademy are structured, properly planned. You also get unlimited access through which you can see live and recorded courses. After subscription, you can attend courses of top educators like Mrunal Patel sir, Prakash Kumar sir, Roman Saini sir and other 100 plus top educators. For UPSC CAC subscription, you can take 1 month to 36-month subscription. Now, generally, it is advisable that one should go for 1 to 3 year subscription. So, 1 year subscription is 49,500 rupees, 2 year is 72,000, 3 year is 90,000. But refer my code AJ01 and you will get 10% off on this subscription fees. You can also go for Iconic subscription. Iconic subscription is one-to-one mentorship scheme of Unacademy under which you get to prepare under a personal coach. You also write mains question answer, study planner is prepared and personalized feedback is given to you. 1 year Iconic subscription is 69,500, 2 year is 1,07,000, 3 year is 1,41,000 rupees. But use code AJ01 and get 10% off on Iconic subscription. Now there is also an early introductory offer. Since Unacademy has started optionals, so till 31st of October, if you subscribe to Unacademy, you get optional courses free of cost. You don't have to pay separate fees for optional. So in 49,500 rupees you are getting GS and optional fee is 27,500 rupees, but it won't be charged from you if you subscribe before 31st October. So subscribe before 31st October. After 31st October, if you subscribe to Unacademy with optional, then you have to pay 77,000 rupees. Use code AJ01. So the benefit of subscribing early is getting free courses of optional cost 27,500. So subscribe as early as possible before 31st October. Now there is a dedicated list of optional 14 general optional plus 4 literature optionals: Maithili, Hindi literature, Kannada and English literature. These are 4 literature optional and these 14 are other optional. Courses on these optionals are available, so you can subscribe to Unacademy. My name is Ashpal Janwa, qualified for UPSC mains examination 2 times, RS examination finally qualified 3 times, 3 to 5 years of teaching experience. Join me on my Telegram channel and follow me on Unacademy. Now today we are in a very special session which is a live answer writing session and this is part 1. So tomorrow part 2, we will cover part 2 tomorrow. It is based on GS paper 2. So how to write good answers. In yesterday's class, we have written answer on GS paper 1. Today we are going to write answer on GS paper 2 and this is part 1. So I will also cover part 2 tomorrow. So directly coming to main part of the class. Good morning everyone. Good morning Sonu. So directly coming to 2019 paper mains examination. So basically there are 4 parts of GS paper 2: Indian Constitution and Polity, and 50% of total weightage goes to polity. Second part is governance. In 2019, only one question came from governance. Third is welfare and social justice, 75 marks, or you can say 6 to 7 questions were asked from this particular section. And then last portion is international relation, and question of 50 marks were asked from IR. So we will cover question from all these sections. So let us start our class. First question of UPSC Mains 2019 GS paper 2. Let us see how to write our answers, how to write good answers. Question number 1. Do you think Constitution of India does not accept principle of strict separation of powers, rather than it is based on principle of checks and balance? You have to explain it. Now, what is the meaning of this keyword explain? I have made a separate video on directives where I have explained each and every directive in detail with live example. So it becomes very easy for you to understand all the directives. Those who are new to the class, they can go and see directive class. It is very important, especially for GS paper 1, 2, 3 and 4. So the question is saying that Indian Constitution does not offer strict separation of power, rather it is based on principle of checks and balance. Now whenever you are asked to explain something, you have to assume that whatever is being asked is correct. So just you have to assume that principle of strict separation of power, Indian Constitution does not accept a strict separation, rather than it is based on principle of checks balance, principle of check and balance. So it is a true statement. You just have to explain it. How do we explain? We explain with example, article, and authoritative statement, committee recommendations. These are our way of explanation. So we use some credible evidence and explain it. So let us see how to write introduction. Then we will learn to write main part of answer and conclusion. Now, since question is about separation of power, so it becomes essential to talk about what is separation of power and what form of what Indian Constitution, what is the existence of separation of power in Indian Constitution. So presidential form of government, in presidential form of government there is a strict separation of power between various organs of government or state. For example, in USA, now what are various organs? Judiciary, legislative, executive. So in USA, where is presidential form of government, there is a strict separation of power between various organs of state. In India, we have got parliamentary form of government. So rather than having a strict separation of power, we believe or we have harmony between various organs of state in general and between legislative and executive in particular, example India. So what you are doing? You are writing that what is being followed in India. So India, since it is a parliamentary form of government, we believe in harmony between various organs in general and between legislative and executive in particular. Now it is also essential to explain the separation of power, the meaning of word separation of power in introduction itself. So each organ perform its own duty or perform its own function, do not interfere in function of other organ. That is the meaning of separation. That is meaning of separation of power. So you have written your introduction. you should be very clear about what to write in the introduction. So what to write in the introduction? There are three things. First, where is strict separation of power in presidential form of government? So you told that in USA there is presidential form of government, there is strict separation of power. Now second, what is condition in India? So you are telling that India is having parliamentary form of government and there is harmony between various organs. So this is a position in India. And third, you are explaining what is separation of power. So you are telling that each organ performing its own function and not interfering in others function is separation of power. I think it would be a nice introduction if you're writing in this particular fashion. Now you can write your introduction in point format, it doesn't matter. GS answer you can go in point format. In essay you have to write in paragraph format. GS answer can be written in just point format, but have clarity about what you are going to write. So we have written three things. Now we are moving ahead and writing main part of the answer. Here what you have to do, you have to give credible evidence. Now when I explain directives, especially explain directive, if you if you watch the class on keywords or directive, we properly understood the meaning of word explain and how to write answer about explain. So I told you that you have to write credible evidence. So here we are giving credible evidence. Indian constitution is based on principle of checks and balance. So you will give credible evidence. So what you will do, you will write a particular function and how there is a system of check and balance in that particular function. A particular function and how checks and balance system is executed in that particular function. So first function is executive function. Now executive function is being performed by executives. Who are executive? President, council of minister and prime minister. These three forms executive. Now how check and balance system is there? Article 75 says that executive is collectively responsible to Lok Sabha in particular and parliament in general. We all know article 75. Article 75 is ensuring the collective responsibility of executive to parliament in general and Lok Sabha in particular. So you can write article 75 to as a credible evidence. So this should be your way of answering. Second function is making function. Now who make law in India? Obviously parliament. Parliament is consist of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and president. Also council of minister and head of executive, means prime minister and council of ministers are also part of parliament. Now how you ensure the system of check and balance in law making process? So we have got various kind of motions. For example, no confidence motion, censure motion, calling attention motion, cut motion. These are various instruments available to ensure the responsibility in law making process. Also you can also mention various hours like 0 hours, and other various instrument like committees. We have got various committees in parliament to ensure check and balance. So through motions, through various R's, 0R or various committees. These three are ensuring check and balance on law making procedure. So this would be a nice way to draw a table, write function and write credible evidence about system of check and balance. Third, executive and legislative action. This is a particular function. Now and judiciary ensure check and balance on legislative and executive function through various powers. For example, writs. And whenever and wherever there is a scope of writing article of constitution, shoot it. You have to write articles whenever and wherever possible in polity answer to fetch good marks. So article 32 of empower Supreme Court, article 226 empower High Court to issue various kind of writs. Writs are PCQM, so habeas corpus, Q warranto, prohibition, certiorari, these are some of the writs. So it can be issued by judiciary. There is also system of judiciary review. So judiciary can review legislative and executive actions. Also there is system of judicial activism. So these are three instruments available with judiciary to ensure check and balance over executive and legislative actions. I hope you are able to understand that how we are framing our answer. Now in this way it looks nice, it looks crystal clear to examiner that yes, this particular guy is giving credible evidence in a structured format. Moving forward, other functions you can ask, you can write, for example, civil services. Now civil services, not only civil servant not only perform executive function, they also perform legislative and sometimes judicial functions. So executive functions of civil servants: implementation of various programs, scheme, implementation of programs, schemes. Legislative function, law making function performed by civil servant. Sometimes they perform delegated legislative function. So they do not have this power, but this power is delegated to them. Judicial functions, how? Sometimes they are member of various tribunals, for example CAT, yeah, or Central Administrative Tribunal, or in their capacity district magistrate or sub-divisional magistrate. So they are performing judicial functions as well. So what you are saying, that a particular organ of government, civil services, which are there for mainly for executive functions, they are also performing legislative and judiciary functions. So there is no clear separation of power. Similarly, executive also perform legislative functions. For example, ordinance making power. When session of parliament, when there is no session of parliament or Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha are not there in operation, there is system of ordinance making power. So then here executive is performing legislative function. So again, no. Now what ideal situation should be, what executive should do only executive work? No, now it is doing executive as well legislative work. Civil servant should do only executive work? No, in India they are doing executive, legislative and judicial functions as well. In precedent rule, law making power in hand of governor. So again, governor is making law on behalf of a state. National emergency, financial emergency, these are special circumstances where power of various organs being shifted to centers. So we have got many examples telling that there is no strict separation of power. A particular organ might perform function of other organ as well, and at the end you can talk about that the system of check and balance is to ensure accountability and transparency. So various organs of the state should perform their function ensuring accountability and transparency, and this system of check and balance should be strengthened. In this way you can end your answer. Now how we have written the answer, let us quickly revise. In intro, sixth question is asking that there is no strict separation of power in India, we have system of check and balance, you have to explain. Now the meaning of explain directive is whatever statement is given you have to assume that it is true, then you will give credible evidence in favor of this statement. So in introduction, first we will talk about uh, strict separation of power is found where? In presidential form of government in USA. Where is system of check and balance? In parliamentary form of government like India. Now what is separation of power? You have explained the meaning of that particular term. So your introduction is complete and it is looking nice. Second part, you are writing a particular function and giving credible evidence telling how there is a system of check and balance. So executive function, how there is system of check and balance through Article 75. Law making function, how a system of check and balance through various motions, various hours, various committees. Also executive and legislative actions are being checked and balanced by judiciary through various writs, judicial review, judicial activism. There are various functions used by judiciary to have a check and balance over legislative and executive functions. Moving forward, you are talking about various organs of government performing other function of other organs as well. For example, civil servants are performing executive function, legislative function and judicial functions. Executive are functioning legislative function. President in president rule, governor is making laws. In national emergency and financial emergency, the situation is changing. So in this way you are writing through various credible evidence or various examples that how a system of check and balance is there, how there is no strict separation of power. At the end you return a conclusion where you are telling that system of check and balance is there to ensure accountability and transparency, and the system should be strengthened and should be promoted. So this way you can write a holistic answer. I think we have covered all the dimension, but what is take home for you is to learn address the answer holistically. You can draw this table now, that is innovation, because everyone will write the credible evidence, but if you are writing your structure in such way it looks beautiful, it looks clear to the examination, so your answer becomes examiner friendly, so he will end up giving you good marks. Moving forward, I hope you are able to get me. Next question is, the Central Administrative Tribunal CAT was established for redressal of grievances and complaints by or against central government employees. Nowadays is exercising its power as an independent judicial authority. So question is saying that CAT was established for grievances redressal by central government employee or for central government employee, but now it has become an independent judicial authority. Again you have to explain. Since you have to explain this, now in explanation you have to assume that a statement is correct. You have to assume that the statement is correct, and again you have to give credible evidence. In support of the statement. That is what we do in explanation directive. So in first part, in introduction, we will talk about CAT, or origin of Central Administrative Tribunal. So CAT is originally not mentioned in Indian Constitution. Now it was brought into Indian Constitution through 42nd Amendment Act of 1976. A new part was added, part 14A, which is about tribunal. This part 14A, good morning. This part 14A is having two articles, article 320A which and article 320B. Article 320A is about administrative tribunal, 320B is about other tribunals. CAT was established by Parliament under article 320A by an act of Administrative Tribunal Act. So in introduction you are talking about origin, how this Central Administrative Tribunal came into force. So it was not mentioned in Constitution, 42nd Amendment, part 14A. So you are writing various amendment parts, articles. Now I while talking about strategy of polity answers, in a strategy video we talked how to write good answer in polity. So I told that we should start our answer with article. Those who are fetching good marks in polity, they are starting their answer with article. So we have written relevant amendment parts and article in our introduction. So it is polity friendly answer, or answer in language of polity. So keep this thing in mind. Whenever you are writing polity answer, then answer should be in language of polity. What is language of polity? Articles, fundamental right, DPSP, parts, schedule, and other aspects like amendments. Whenever you are writing international relation articles, international relation answers, that answer should be in language of IR. Whenever you are writing geography answer, that answer should be in language of geography. That is how you fetch good marks in GS papers. So our answer is in language of polity. We are using amendment, schedule, articles. That is the demand of examination. So introduction is this main part of the answer. Now since it is talking about that CAT has become independent judicial authority, so we will talk about original jurisdiction. What was its original function? Its original function was related to recruitment and service methods to public servants, which services were included all the central government services like All India Services, Central Civil Services, civil post in central government, and defense services, civilian post under defense services. So All India Services, civil central civil services, and civilian employee of defense services. Now what was purpose of CAT? For redressal of complaint and grievances by and against these particular services. It was its original jurisdiction. You have talked about original jurisdiction. Now, how it has become a judicial authority? First, because of its mandate. The mandate says that CAT is guided by the principle of natural justice, while it is not bound by the procedure laid in civil procedure code. Now, a particular judicial authority, if it is bounded by principle of natural justice, so this principle provides its flexibility. And when there is flexibility in your functioning, your jurisdiction will be enlarged. So that's why it is one reason why it is acting as a judicial authority. So it is one credible evidence given by you in its mandate. Second, in contempt of court cases, Central Administrative Tribunal has same power as High Court, and this power was given to a Delhi High Court judgment where it was given same power as a High Court. Third, it is making its intervention in politically motivated transfers. Now, this answer usually Kate is I think chapter 65 of polity book. In M Lakshmikant book it is like chapter 65 number I think, or after 65. So usually you will face difficulty in writing answer of this kind of question because you generally we don't give much attention to these chapters, so you won't have much material to write. Now what is better idea to write answer? In introduction, write about whatever you know about the cat. In main part of the answer, you can write 2 points. First is mandate. At least we know the mandate that it works on principle of natural justice. Second, in contempt of court cases, it has power as same power as High Court. So these 2 points can be written, and then you can conclude where you talk for need of balance, that since Central Administrative Tribunal is for redressal of complaint and grievances of central government employee, so it should stick to its main function rather than becoming a judicial authority. And this way you can end your answer with. Now here you will face problem in such question that you will feel like I don't have much content to write, but try to write answer of such question because UPSC will ask at least 2 to 3 questions in each paper where you will feel like I don't have any content to write in this. So whatever content is available to you, structurize that content and write your answer. I think whatever content we are having, we have written quite a decent answer. So it is always a better idea that you should attempt all the questions and do not leave any question with while optimum utilization of your available knowledge. So Kate answer can be written in this way. Moving forward, let us write a society answer. What France can learn from Indian constitution's approach to secularism. Oh, okay, it is polity answer. What France can learn from Indian constitution's approach to secularism. So let us write the introduction. So the question is talking about what France can learn. So You have to write the condition of secularism in France. Second, you have to write the status of secularism in India. And third, what France should learn from India. So, what is there in France? How the Constitution of France defines secularism. So, basically, France is a European country. In European country, there is strict separation of power between religion and state. There is strict separation of religion from the state. So there is complete separation of state from religion in all western country, all European nations. So basically they have adopted a negative concept of secularism, because state is completely separate from religion. Now in those country, religion is a complete private affair. Since religion is a complete private affair, so these countries, especially France, if you have heard, if you have read current affair, France has a practice of banning burqa. Wearing burqa is banned in France. Halal meal or kosher is also banned in France. You cannot wear Islamic clothing publicly. So these are some of the practices, because according to them, religion is a complete private affair. You can wear burqa or Islamic clothing or kosher at your home, but not in public places. So if they find any person carrying religious symbol, wearing clothes pertaining to religion, they strictly ban it. Now because of this banning, if you have read in the newspaper, there were various violence in France, protest, even severe terrorist attack. Violence, protest, terrorist attack in France. These kind of attacks are very frequent in France. So though these attacks we cannot directly say that it is because of the France banning burqa or these practices, but yes, somehow there is anger in the people. So it is condition of France. Let us talk about India. How India see secularism. So we have adopted a positive concept of secularism. We believe in dharma. India is a dharma nirpeksh Raj. So the indifference of a state to the religion. We do not have total separation. So our concept is positive secularism. And also I told you, whenever and wherever it is possible, mention articles of constitution. So article 25 to 30, which is fundamental right, is about religion. Secularism, article 44, uniform civil code. Now France and other western countries, what is problem with them? They are finding it difficult to have a middle path. India has adopted a middle path. There are various terrorist attack, violence, protests in France, especially pertaining to religious practices, banning religious practices. So that is difficulty. That's why this question was asked, where there was severe protest, violence, terrorist attack in France because of their strict separation from the religion. So what France can learn from India? So basically in introduction we have written three parts. First, what is being done in France? What is secularism for France? Second part, what is secularism for India? Now third part, what is problem with system of France? So it was written in our introduction. Let us talk about main part of the answer. What France can learn from India? So write all key features or good features of Indian concept of secularism. First is India believe in Sarva Dharma Sambhav. So equal respect to all religions with maintaining a principal distance from all religion. So Indian constitution believe in respect of all religion with maintaining a certain distance, a principal distance from all religion. Neither we believe in promoting a particular religion and nor we stay away from all religions. We maintain, we respect all of them and have certain principal distance with all religion. Now, do we intervene in religious practices? Yes. Sometimes when situation becomes necessary, we intervene. For example, triple talaq case, when situation become necessary, we intervene. Woman's entry into temple, Shani Signapur, Sabrimala temple, woman's entry, banning Jallikattu and Kambala because atrocities against animals. Now, what you should learn from this answer? You should learn that whenever and wherever possible, write examples, because you are talking that we intervene, but you have to write examples to substantiate your statement. So intervention was done in triple talaq, woman's entry, banning Jallikattu and Kambala. Third, we also interact with religion. How we interact? In India, religion and state can interact and intervene for greater good. So if our interaction is beneficial for state as well as religion, we interact also. For example, Hajj subsidy is given in India. Now nowhere, especially in Western countries, this kind of subsidies are not given. Hajj subsidy is given. Kailash Mansarovar Yatra, India gives subsidy on Kailash Mansarovar Yatra. So with prescribed within prescribed boundaries. Now our though we intervene and we interact also, but within legal and judicial boundaries. So basically what we are doing, we are promoting all the religion by giving subsidy, by sponsoring Kailash Mansarovar Yatra. So it is a positive concept of secularism. France can learn all these things from us. We also promote religious practices positively. How? India has a practice of setting up a Waqf board, Department of Religious Endowments. So what you are doing, you are writing a statement and writing examples wherever and wherever possible. Example, again examples. And this way there is a refinement in your answer. Your answer is looking good. Your statement are substantiate. So that is something which makes your answer fetch good marks. It is examiner friendly answer, because you are not only writing answer but also you are not writing you are not only writing a statement but also writing examples. Financial assistance. We provide financial assistance for promotion of education. Example, madrasa, assistance to Aligarh Muslim University or some Hindu university. We providing financial assistance as well. Now approach of religious minority towards secularism in India. In India, religious minority sees secularism as a protection shield rather than a weapon for targeting them, such as in case of France. What is in India, secularism is used as a protection or protection shield. Now what happens in France? Secularism is used to target minority. So that is a key difference. Here our concept of secularism is used as a protection shield rather than as a weapon to target minorities. Also, it is essential to write about basic structure. Our concept of secularism or secularism in India forms basic structure of Indian constitution. Now since it is a basic structure, so it cannot be taken away by state or it cannot be amended. Also, a secularism is a way of life in India, though it was incorporated in preamble by 42nd amendment. uh, it was incorporated, it was not there in the original constitution, it incorporated through various amendments, but it was a way of life in India since ancient India. In ancient time we had concept of Sanatan Dharma, Hinduism, Vedas, Upanishada, Samrat Ashoka, Jainism, Buddhism, Akbar Deen e Ilahi, Samrat Ashoka non-violence, and Dhamma, concept of. So we have got secularism very much part and parcel of Indian society from ancient time, be it Sanatan Dharma, Veda, Upanishada, Ashoka, Jainism, Buddhism. It is very much part and parcel of our way of life. So rather than being an instrument of constitution, it is very much within us. And at the end you will write conclusion that because of positive concept of secularism in India, there is less radicalization of youth in India. Though there are few exceptions which of Indian youth joining ISIS, but such incidents, looking at population of India, such incidents are very few in India because we promote religion. Also, Indian secularism is not an end but a mean for peaceful coexistence and unity in diversity. Now your conclusion is also very powerful. What you are saying, secularism is not an end for us. It is just a mean to achieve unity in diversity and peaceful coexistence. Now, looking at the question, looking at our attempt of answering it, no examiner will give you less than 6 out of 10 marks if you are writing in this particular fashion, where you are very much clear in your thought, your points are crystal clear, you are using examples wherever and whenever possible, you are writing articles, there is coherence in your answer. So examiner will give you at least 6 out of 10. Maybe if he is in good mood, he might end up giving you 7 marks. So this way, let us revise how we have written the answer. The question was what France should learn from India. So in the introduction, what we will write that what is concept of secularism in France, how France sees secularism, or how secularism is incorporated in the constitution of France. Second, what is secularism for Indian constitution, and third, what is problem with France, because France has to learn with India from India, so there must be some problem in France. So these three things are written in introduction. Now here you have written article as well, article 25 to 30 and article 44. 44 is about uniform civil code. So writing your answer in terms of articles makes your answer polity friendly. You can also write about preamble. There three words were added into preamble: socialist, secular and integrity. So again, to write your answer in language of polity, you can also write preamble that SSI, socialist, secular and integrity words were added by constitutional amendment. So that will be your introduction. Main part, you are writing salient feature of Indian secularism which France should learn from you. First, We believe in Sarva Dharma Sambhav. In India, there is intervention of state in religious affairs only when it becomes necessary. You have written certain examples which were there in the news. There is also interaction of state with religion for which is beneficial or greater good for both of them. Example subsidies, Hajj subsidy, Kailash Mansarovar. There is also boundary of intervention, which is what is boundary? Legal and judicial boundary. We also promote religion in India. For example, setting Waqf board or Department of Religious Endowments. We also provide financial assistance to religious practices, madrasa, universities, religious minority. Because of all these practices, religious minority in India sees secularism as a protection shield. While in Western countries, especially in France, it is used as a weapon by the state to target minorities. So it can be seen. It is very much part and parcel of Indian Constitution. It is basic structure of Indian Constitution which cannot be amended. Secularism is not only an article of Indian Constitution, it is a way of life in India from ancient time. So we have written various examples. Now at the end, you are telling the significance of secularism in India, where there is less radicalization of youth. Youths are less not joining ISIS, and it is not an end, it is a mean for peaceful coexistence and unity and diversity. So we have written quite a good answer. So you have to be very clear about writing your answer, but this thing will come when you will give as many mock tests as possible. Let us move ahead. Question number 6. Despite consistent experience of high growth, India still goes with lowest indicators of human development. Examine the issue that makes balance and inclusive development elusive. So what is question? Question is saying that India is having high economic growth, but despite having high economic growth, our indicators of human development are low, or in fact lowest. So examine the issue of balance and inclusive development in India. So basically you can guess that the question is about low performance of India in human development index and other similar indexes. So let us write the introduction of this question. Since the question is talking about economic growth and development, so we need to clarify what is the difference between them. So economic growth is measured in terms of GDP and GNP. If there is high GDP, it can be used for development. So of course GDP is a mean for development. What is human development? Human development is ultimate or last objective. Why we are doing economic growth? Because we want economic development. So basically it is a mean and development is an end. Now we are able to reach or having good growth, but our development is not up to the mark. That is the question. So human development is ultimate objective. Various dimension of human development is quality of life. If quality of life is good, health is in good condition, economic, education status, standard of living, equality. If all these things are there in a country, then you can say yes, there is human development in that particular country, and it is ultimate objective. Now how you measure human development? There are various indexes. Most popular index is HDI, Human Development Index, which is released by UNDP, United Nations Development Program. Write briefly about Human Development Index. So it considered three criteria: per capita income, life expectancy at birth. So basically it is talking about health, and education. So education, it is talking about expected year of schooling and mean year of schooling. Also there is another index which is human capital index, released by World Bank. So these two indexes can be taken, which are major indexes to measure the human development in any country. Now since it is talking about India's performance has not been good, so we have to see what is India's performance. So take HDI ranking of 2018. India was at 130 place out of 189 countries in HDI. Also in Global Human Capital Index 2019, performance of India was not up to the mark. Rank was 150th, 115 out of 157 countries. So as per the demand of question, we have written our introduction. We talked about growth. What is growth? How it is measured? What is development? So growth is a mean, a development is an end. How we measure the growth? How we measure development? Through various indexes. We talked about Human Development Index and its three parameters. These three parameters, and another Human Capital Index of World Bank. Now what is India's performance? Question is talking about India's performance has been poor. So what is actual performance? Rank is 130 in HDI, and Global Capital Human Capital Index ranks is 115. So that is your introduction. Introduction should as per the need of question. Now we will address main part of the answer here. So that will be body of your answer. Why India still have lowest indicators of human development despite having good growth? So first is, you will talk about growth. In growth there is inequality. In fact there is a large inequality. India is one of the country which is having one of the largest inequality in world in terms of growth. So the richest 1% of Indian hold 42.5% of total wealth of the country, and bottom 50% of India are having only 2.8% of total national wealth. It is being said by a report of Oxfam released in 2020. The title of report is Time to Care. Now, how you are writing your answer? You are quoting various reports, which is a credible evidence, for example. So you are quoting in Oxfam report Time to Care, which is, as per this report, richest 1% of Indians are having 42.5% wealth of total wealth of the country. Poorest 50% are having only 2.8% of total wealth. So that is indicating there is huge inequality in India. Second, growth in India. Growth is non-inclusive because there are various sections of society which are excluded. Growth is also jobless in India. Now to give example, you are talking about NSSO report. NSSO report says that unemployment is highest in last 45 years in India in recent time. Also SOCM report says there is poor quality of manpower in India. So you are giving examples to substantiate your statement. So this is a nice way to write your answer, or it is how you write good answers. So non-inclusive growth, jobless growth, you have got NSSO report which is talking about highest level of unemployment in India last 45 years, and also manpower quality is also poor in India. So you have talked about growth. Now you'll talk about health, and also you talk about education. So spending on health in India, we spend 1.5% of our total GDP on health, which is very less. Also, when we talk about health, we talked about infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate, health of women, health of children. So IMR is 33 per 1000 live birth, MMR is 113, 2016-17. Now from where this data is coming? I asked you to maintain a diary in our strategy video. So these data are coming from that particular diary, and this data can be taken from economic survey. You can take help of economic survey, write all important data at a particular place like data of IMR, MMR, and use wherever and whenever possible. So you have to remember the latest data. IMR 33 per 1000, MMR 113. Women health, condition of women health, women's anemic, there is iron deficiency in women. Child health, child are, there is malnutrition in child, stunting, wasting, and underweight children. So that is condition of health in India. This particular data, 1.5% spending of GDP, I specifically mentioned in the strategy video that you should compile data in this particular way. For example, spending of health as a percentage of GDP, spending on education as a percentage of GDP, especially spending on social services as a percent of GDP. So this data you need to compile in your diary and use wherever and whenever possible. So condition of health. Now let us talk about more about health. Since indicator is having a parameter of life expectancy, so we need to write data of life expectancy. It is 68.7 years as per national health profile. So again you have written the data. Now talk about education. So spending on education, 3% of total GDP is spent on India. Indian GDP is spent on education, so that is also a less. Whenever we talk about education performance, we take reference to ASER or ESSER report, annual status of education report, which is authentic report. It is talking about the report says there is poor quality of education in India. What is problem with Indian education system? High dropouts, poor learning outcomes, low employability of graduates. Though we have got many graduates, large number of graduates, but their employability is very low because low productivity, and also there is lack of basic amenities in schools. Teaching pedagogy is based on rote learning, or there is number system. So these are various shortcomings of education system. At the end you will write the conclusion and you will say we need an inclusive growth and we need to reduce inequality. So let us quickly see what we have written. The question was India is having high growth, high GDP growth, but we are performing poorly on human development. So you have to examine these issues. So in introduction we talked about economic growth, economic development, how we measure this, and what is condition of India. That is your introduction. In main part, we have addressed the main issue that why India is having lowest indicators of human development. So better ways to talk in these parameters. What were the parameters? Per capita income. So you can talk on the parameter of growth. Life expectancy means health, health, and third parameter will be education. So you can frame the body of your answer on the basis of growth, health and education. So in first 2 points, inequality and growth, these 2 points are pertaining to growth. We are taking reference to Oxfam report and telling that there is huge inequality in India. Second, talking about growth, we are having non-inclusive growth. Growth is jobless. To substantiate our statement, we are quoting NSSO report and SOCHM report. Now next point is health. So spending total percentage of GDP is spent on health. Data of IMR, MMR, which are important. Condition of women's health, condition of children health. So also life expectancy, which is also a parameter in Human Development Index. Talking about education, similarly, percentage of GDP is spent on education. Education authentic document is ESSER report, annual state of education report. So you are taking reference to that particular report. You are talking other problems of education, for example, dropouts, learning outcome, employability, productivity, and basic amenities. Also, teaching pedagogy is based on rote learning, that is also a shortcoming. Conclusion will say that we need inclusive growth, we need to reduce inequality, and since the economic growth is just a mean, so we should focus on an end, which is economic development. So what can be done? That spending on education, which is presently 3% of GDP, it should be increased to 6% of GDP. And you are not referring this, it is being said in draft education policy of 2019. Similarly, health spending, which is 1.5% presently, should increase to 2.5% of GDP. And it is not being said by you, it is being said by National Health Policy 2017. Now this data are coming from where? These data are coming from your diary, which we talked in strategy video. Old toppers or people who are fetching good marks, they maintain a particular diary in soft copy or hard copy, where they maintain data, update it, and then revise it multiple times, revising it 50 times, 100 times, so that they are able to use their data whenever and wherever possible as per the requirement of question. And that's why people are fetching good marks. We have a target of 5 trillion economy, but we have to make sure that 5 trillion economy is also bringing required economic development in the country and improving quality of life of people. Now next question, let us take a question on governance. Implementation of ICT based project, information and communication technology based project and program, usually suffer in terms of certain vital factors. Identify these factors and suggest measures for their effective implementation. So the question is asking you that there are various problems in implementation of ICT based scheme and program. So what are these factors? You have to identify, or you have to write all these factors and how to improve upon. So first, since the question is about ICT, in introduction you will write about what is ICT. So it is information and communication technology, which can be used for various purposes including growth and development and implementation of various programs. What is significance of ICT? Significance of ICT is it saves time, effort, made process speedy, made process transparent, make process transparent, ensure accountability, and in a whole it ensure better governance. So there are various benefits of ICT. Application of ICT. ICT can be applied in all the field in government projects and program. Now, main part of the answer. Which vital factors are affecting effectiveness of ICT? So first is digital literacy. Now, India is having one of the poorest digital literacy, where 90% of Indians are not digitally literate, or they are digitally illiterate. So it is one of the largest roadblock in implementation of ICT project. There is also huge digital divide. What is digital divide? That some people are having knowledge of digital technology, other people do not having any knowledge. For example, urban people are good, are having good knowledge of digital technology, rural are not having. Men are having better knowledge, women are having lesser knowledge, rich are having better knowledge, poor are having lesser knowledge. So there is huge divide between learnings of digital technology of these kind of people: urban, rural, men, woman, rich and poor. Other factors: internet connectivity is very poor in India. Also, in ICT project, there is always a security concern. For example, of cyber attack, ransom attack, virus attack, malware attack, hacking, data theft issue. So privacy is a concern. For example, Aadhaar issue was there in the news of about the privacy. The matter also went to Supreme Court of India. So privacy is also a big issue. Security concern, where hacking, virus, malware attack, data theft, these are major concern in ICT projects. Now, to implement ICT, you need capacity building. Now, capacity building is very poor in India. Infrastructure, we do not have adequate infrastructure, especially in common service center. What is common service center? These are centers which are providing ICT services. Now they do not have sufficient computers, their internet connection, connectivity, especially in remote areas. The infrastructure is very poor in common service centers. Also, access is a major issue, especially because of geographical constraints. There are some remote areas or hilly regions like Northeast India or Andaman Nicobar Dweep Samuh. So there is geographical constraint, climatic and other concerns like cyclone, during cyclone, flooding, heavy rainfall, especially in coastal regions. The ICT network get disrupted, so services are completely blocked, or there is disruption in the services in natural disasters. Connectivity issue. Last mile connectivity is also another problem, because talking about some remote location, for example a village of Meghalaya, or an island of Andaman Nicobar. We do not have last mile connectivity. Now the purpose of ICT is to provide services to the last mile, but that last mile connectivity is also not available. So that is also a major issue. Manpower. Now to execute or implement ICT project, we need skilled manpower, we need trained manpower, but that ICT trained manpower, there is lack of ICT trained manpower in India, so that is also an issue. Language is also a barrier, where most of ICT projects are there in English. We do not have much local language ICT based project, so that is also a major constraint. So what we have written: introduction, we talked about what is ICT, what is the significance of ICT. It saves time, effort, increase your speed, bring transparency, bring accountability. So in a whole, it is bringing better governance. So that is significance. Also application, ICT is applied in various program project scheme. Main part, you are writing all the reasons why ICT is not effective. So first is digital literacy. 90% of Indians are not digitally literate. There is huge digital divide, where some people know how to use this technology, other people don't know anything about it. Rich, urban, rural, men, woman, rich, poor. Next point is connectivity in India is very poor. There are security concerns, especially about virus, malware, ransomware. There is fear of hacking, data theft issue. Privacy is also a major concern, which came in news in Aadhaar case. We need now implementing project is good, but you need capacity building for that implementation. So you need basic infrastructure. What is basic infrastructure? You need computers, internet connection, point of sale, and various other instruments. So there is, we do not have sufficient infrastructure, or even if infrastructure is there, quality is very poor. Access is a concern to all people because of geographical limitations, climatic reasons like disasters. Manpower quality is also a major concern. Language is also a barrier. So these are some of the reasons. Now how you will suggestion to improve the effectiveness of ICT project. So you don't have to do anything. Whatever limitations are written by you, you just have to write suggestions that we need to increase digital literacy. How we increase digital literacy? By awareness, by education, by training. Similarly, to bridge the digital divide, we need infrastructure, which is in form of National Optical Fiber Network NOFON project, and also awareness, education and training to bridge the digital divide. Internet connectivity poor, so we have to work on this, especially on spectrum allocation. And improving quality of technology. Connectivity, security concern, so we need, for this we need trained manpower. So we need to work on issue of cyber security. Capacity building, so we need to work on infrastructure. Access, we can use other technologies like use of balloons to reach to last mile connectivity. Manpower can be trained, and languages, various kind of apps can be provided in local languages as well. So these are some of the suggestions. In conclusion, we have mission of digital India and other. So ICT is very useful instrument for again speedy save time, ensure accountability, transparency, and better governance. So it would be your conclusion that we need to work on all the limitations and ensure good governance. This way you can answer your question. Join me on my Telegram channel unacademy_ashpal, so you get notification about my classes or courses. Use referral code AJ01 for 10% off. Now you can see the quality of question we are covering, how we are covering. You can learn a lot of things from these classes. So stay connected. Again, tonight we are having a class from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. on essay writing. So let us meet tonight 9 p.m. Thank you very much for being with me, and please like and share the class.